When I first heard about Cristo Ahnsahnghong, I was overwhelmed with shock and excitement. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever studied. I had no idea that I would learn that Christ had already come during my lifetime. Before receiving the truth, I attended the Baptist church for over 20 years, as that was the church my family attended. Sunday service is a tradition that everybody knows. So I went to Sunday service every week, believing that I was a faithful Christian. Growing up with a Christian faith, I was taught that just to follow and have faith in Jesus, and He would guide me during my life. So all I knew was just saved by faith. However, now I realized that this belief lacked in keeping with the Bible taught. When I first heard about Cristo Ahnsahnghong, I was overwhelmed with shock and excitement. It was the most amazing thing I'd ever studied. I had no idea that I would learn that Christ had already come during my lifetime. I attended the church for more than 20 years, and I'd heard about Second Coming Christ many times, but I never thought He had already come. As I learned this, I immediately wanted to know all the prophecies in the Bible, everything that it taught related to Second Coming Christ. So to accept Cristo Ahnsahnghong, it was surreal. I first thought, do I really believe in Cristo Ahnsahnghong? My reasoning in the beginning wasn't that I 100% believed in Him, but rather, I can't deny Cristo Ahnsahnghong because everything I studied was in the Bible. So I decided I have to keep studying. The most decisive moment for me when I finally realized that Cristo Ahnsahnghong was God who came in the flesh was when I studied about God's coming from the east. The island of Patmos, where John received the revelation from Jesus, had the same latitude as ancient South Korea. How is that possible that Cristo Ahnsahnghong came exactly east 1,000 years later, just like the Bible said? It means only when we study the Bible can we find the answers to our questions and have correct faith to find God. I realized all this was showing God moves pieces to reveal His plan of salvation at the proper time. To be honest, once I learned about Cristo Ahnsahnghong, my whole world and perspective changed. For people who maybe have trouble believing in Cristo Ahnsahnghong, I would encourage you, please ask us without delay. Identify which parts make you feel doubtful. What makes you hesitate? Once you find the source of your doubt, please come to the World Mission Society Church of God and receive the answer through a Bible study. Questions and doubts, they're normal. But the most important thing is how to address them. This can only be done through studying the Bible. I too had many of the same questions and doubt myself. But when I asked those questions to the Church of God, they always show me through the Bible. So just like me, I know all your worries and doubts will go away once you see the prophecies in the Bible for yourself. Because all the answers are in the Bible. Since I started attending the Church of God, the biggest change in my life has definitely been my character. Through studying the Bible, which I didn't do at my previous church, I could feel myself changing immediately. I was short-tempered, impatient, especially with people who didn't see my way. I was not able to communicate effectively and usually kept to myself. But all this changed when I came to the Church of God because they treated me like family. I learned the consideration for others, what it means to work together instead of only doing what I want. Also, I began to realize and began to grow deep and meaningful relationships with other young adults. Relationships that I was able to foster and continue years later, even until this day. In addition, I came close to many people who became like mentors, helping me, especially when I encountered difficult situations. I'm so thankful to God Elohim for allowing me this opportunity to be at the Church of God.